Po pierwsze dlatego, że to wybory w Stanach Zjednoczonych, po drugie, że tak dostojnego gościa dzisiaj gościmy. Proszę brawa naszego gościa. Pierwsza informacja, kim jest Steven, to już tu mamy na ekranie, ale myślę, że więcej dowiecie się zadając pytania, a Steven bardzo chętnie odpowie na te pytania. Ja nie będę za dużo czasu zajmować, oddam głos Stevenowi i gdy będą jakieś problemy ze zrozumieniem, bardzo proszę rączka w górę, ale to myślę, że już Steven sam o tym powie. Prosimy bardzo.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me and for being here today. I'm really excited to be here. As you can see, I have a Polish last name and my family is from Poland. So that's a little bit about myself and what I'm doing here in Poland. I'm currently at the University of Warsaw's Institute of Political Science, where I'm doing a year of research. I speak a little bit of Polish, but my language, of course, is English. So if I'm speaking too fast or too softly, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to repeat or speak up. And as you know, today is the election in the United States. It's a really big one for us, and I've been involved in politics since I was in high school and in elementary school even. I've worked for different parts of the government in Washington, and I've lived in Washington for the last 5 years. So it's really nice to be outside for a little bit right now. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the more interesting things about the election, just because I'm sure you've read about different things in the newspapers, about different policies, and just a lot of stuff. So hopefully we'll cover some interesting things. And if there's any questions that you have, you can save it to the end, but don't feel bad interrupting me if you have a question that can't wait. So I'd like to focus on social media and how Twitter, and Facebook, and YouTube are so important in elections these days, especially in 2012. So these are just kind of the order of things that I want to cover. Mostly just the background of some of the things that you might be hearing in the papers and such. I don't know how much each one of you is interested in politics specifically, and then we'll go into more of the social media aspect. Of course, I'm sure you guys recognize our current president, Barack Obama, who's running on the Democratic Party, as well as Mitt Romney, who's the former governor of Massachusetts. But something that's not usually covered is that there are actually third parties, the Libertarian Party, the Green Party. Why don't they get so much coverage in the United States? It's mostly because we are a bipolar system, and the Democratic and Republican parties are usually the only ones on the ticket. But it's important to note that we do have people who strongly do support these people, because they don't really identify with the Democrats or the Republicans. And it's also important to note that the Republican Party, when it was being founded in the early 1860s, in its early stages, it was actually a third, or you could even consider it a fourth party. The best way in 2012 or 2013 to understand and how these parties really identify with the population is by looking at their websites, obviously. So if you look at Mitt Romney's homepage, you can see just how he's trying to connect with all different populations. You have, for those who are strongly into energy, who might side with the Green Party, farmers, Spanish Hispanic population, which he's having a really big time connecting with right now. Lawyers, trying to be, all over the page, really. And then looking at the social media aspect. Look at his outreach, 9.9 million people. This is just Romney. So these are people that are following, receiving updates on Facebook consistently every time he adds something. And then, of course, when he gets into more, specific things, first thing you say, Obama's failure, and then what's his plan to remove that. And then on Obama's front page, first thing you say, email. Once you sign up to it, I can tell you I've been on the web list for about 2 years now, and you get an email every single day. I don't know how many people are on it, but it's a great way to reach out to people. And then, of course, the populations that he's trying to reach out to. You see all the big things, mostly social issues, women's issues, healthcare, equal rights, LGBT rights, seniors, and immigration. You see a big difference then when Romney's page is primarily focusing on different target populations, the economy and such, whereas Obama's more into social issues as well. And then, of course, looking at the social media aspect, 31 million people. Big populations here. So, as you can see, that elections are taking a pretty funny turn in some aspects. And why would a campaign so big as Obama go to something so what might be considered low politics, something so simple and childish as talking about Big Bird? It's mostly because it's a great way to reach out to populations that necessarily don't follow politics every day, who don't follow the political aspects of it. And it's really funny, it grasps your attention, and it's a great way to publicize what you feel is just a silly matter, and that Romney's focusing on big birds as opposed to big issues like the economy. So, of course, something that's been popping all over the internet. Little cartoon. This is kind of just showing, Obama from the Obama side. Obama was able to attack Osama bin Laden, kill him, and take him out from a big policy perspective. He's getting good ideas across. Here's Obama with a good foreign policy background who was able to take out, and then Romney's only focusing on Big Bird. Kind of trivial, doesn't really matter. Yes? Yes, absolutely. And once again, if I'm speaking too fast or something, please let me know. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the public opinion polls, and these are probably something that's been highlighted the most often in the paper. Simply numbers. So when you see this one from the Washington Post about 2 weeks ago, do you approve or disapprove of the way Obama is handling his job? And you can see the 50% approve and approximately 46% disapprove. The thing I want to really talk about when it comes to polling is just how they're so misleading. Here's a perfect example, actually. Today when I was coming on the train from Warsaw, I was reading Gazeta, and the main section on Obama and Romney is highlighting different polls. NBC has Obama at 48 and Romney at 47. Rasmussen have them tied at 49. ABC and the Washington Post have them at 49 and 48. And Pew Research Center has them at 50 and 47. These are all conducted on the same day, but are all having different results. So what is this saying? It's necessarily not saying that they're worthless and pointless in conducting. It's just that they're very specific when they're conducting these polls. So you'll see that these snap polls, as they're called, it's also known as instant reaction polls, are very direct and they reach out to certain populations. So when these news corporations are conducting these polls, say in Illinois, they're reaching out to a certain population. Illinois, for example, where there's another Radom, a lot smaller though. And these populations are farming communities. So when you're conducting research and these polls in Radom, Illinois, you're going to get significantly different results than if you're conducting these polls in New York City. They all highlight different sample populations. And these polls mostly seek to reach out to undecided voters. Why? Because by the time that these polls are being conducted and the time that these debates are happening for these elections, most people have already made up their minds. These polls are primarily reaching out to the population of 20% to 30% of people who really haven't made up their mind by election day, whereas the rest of the people already have. This horse race journalism, as it's known, really focuses on the numbers, on the polls, as you saw in the paper today. Just the numbers, not really concerned about the aspects of policy, not really concerned about the legislation or the history that these people have had in politics, only the numbers. So as you can see in this last example, from debates sometimes look different in the rear view, depending on the news media coverage, YouTube and cable news highlights, word of mouth, and developments on the campaign trail. So really, if you conducted a poll yesterday, it's going to be completely different if you tried it today. Let's go back a little bit. Just in the news constantly. I just want to show you some of the debate ads and get some of your perspectives on this as well. Romney had made a comment when they were talking the second political presidential debate. They were talking about women's equality and inequality in pay especially. And this is one comment that Romney had made. Is there anybody turn up the volume by any chance on this? Turn up the volume, like, to the...
Oh, the